Hello, and welcome to Your Yes Filled Life. I'm Brenda Winkle, and this podcast is for high performing, empathic women who are ready to stop second guessing themselves and start trusting what they know. Maybe you're successful in your career or business. People rely on you. You make difficult decisions every day, and yet, sometimes the moment someone else's emotions, expectations, or opinions enter the conversation, your own clarity starts to disappear. If you've ever wondered, how can I be so confident everywhere else in my life but struggle to trust myself when it comes to my own needs, you are in the right place. Each week, we'll explore self-trust, nervous system regulation, emotional energy, boundaries, intuition, and the everyday moments where your life changes, not because you've become someone new, but because you learn to stay connected to yourself. I'll share client stories, my own experiences, practical tools, and honest conversations to help you stop abandoning yourself and start creating a life that's truly your own. Because I believe you already know more than you trust, and that is a yes-filled life. I'm so glad you're here. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. I am so glad you're here. We are doing some big work lately around here. We're looking at identity. We're stepping into our own empowerment, and we're really learning to trust our intuition and starting to better understand how our intuition comes in for each of us, how our own unique intuition communicates. And today we're going to be talking about identity, but we're going to be talking about it from a lens that we have not yet talked about. And that is what happens after the identity has shifted. And I don't mean like my identity shifted on Thursday and now we're talking on Monday. I mean when we realize that an identity that we had clung onto has now totally shifted, and it might happen over a number of years. This is juicy stuff. So I want to tell you a story of something that happened in the last week. And I'm going to set the stage by telling you that on Friday night, I had gone to a dance social, which is not uncommon for me. You know how much I love to dance. My favorite running right now, my favorite is bachata. Although I love salsa, and I am learning cumbia and I'm learning Casina Rueda. And anyway, bachata is my current absolute obsession. I'll just admit it. So I had gone out to this dance, but I knew that on Saturday I was going to be meeting a friend. We were going to Cannon Beach to Ecola State Park to do some hiking. And I knew I was flirting with sleep times because my friend and I were going to get together at 8:30. I was to have been at her apartment by 8:30 in the morning. And that was a big promise considering I was out dancing. And I left the event like maybe 11. All this is to say, I wasn't very well rested. But I decided, that's the cost of having so much fun, and it's going to be okay. Life is long and balance can come in a lot of different ways. And I woke up Saturday morning. I was feeling excited to go to the beach. It's one of my favorite places. And I was looking forward to spending some time with my friend and just having a great day. And also keep in mind, I'm not super well rested. So as I got ready to get going in the morning, I was just moving more slowly than typical. And so I had texted my friend about an hour before I was to have left the house to say, I'm running a little bit more slowly this morning than I had expected. I bet I'm not going to be there on time. I bet I'm going to be at least 15 minutes late, maybe more. And she texted back, yeah, no problem. Great. Just text me when you're on the way and let me know. And so I went around my business, I did my meditation, made the coffee, made my breakfast, got Bentley walked. But in the course of making breakfast, something happened. Something really big happened. As I was making my breakfast, I was grabbing for my bottle of olive oil. Now, this is a special bottle because it's beautiful. It was tall and slender with one of those, I don't know what you call it, the silver things that you stick in that has a cork around it, but then there's a silver spout that comes out so you can, get the olive oil in your food or in your pan or whatever. And it was really special to me because not only is it beautiful and elegant, but I bought it when I was pretty much a brand new single mom. Would have been like 2008, 2009 time wise. And at the time, I was barely making ends meet. And it was a struggle. And life was just kind of generally hard because my PTSD was very, very active. It was like I was running raw nerves. It was like I had one raw nerve all the time. I was hyper vigilant. I was still very, very reactive. And I couldn't get my nervous system to downregulate. I was like amped up all the time. And I knew that wasn't how I wanted to be, but I didn't know another way. So I just kept following the breadcrumbs. I started to attend yoga and I got in touch with my body for the first time, maybe ever, because I was so dissociated from the abuse that had happened within my marriage, but then also the childhood abuse. And so, yoga in 2008 was when I discovered yoga, was a first time for me that I felt what it was like to have a body, to feel a body. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but if you've ever been through any kind of trauma and disassociated, you'll get it. How you can completely like have a body and not realize you have a body. You are not body aware. And that was me. But in 2008, when that embodiment started to take place through those yoga classes, I began to realize I had so much more access than I had given myself credit for. And I knew I wanted a different life. And I knew that when something crossed my path that felt really like open, expansive, or made me curious, or made me feel like this is the person I want to be, I would do whatever I could to bring that into my world, whether it was with pictures or books or movies, Under the Tuscan Sun, for example. And in one case, there was a display that had come through my school. I was still teaching full time. In fact, I had just gone back to teaching full time after becoming a single mom. And this display was a nonprofit organization created really cool glass items from recycled wine bottles. And so they were selling carafes and wine glasses. And then they had these bottles, these olive oil bottles. And they were beautiful. They were the dark green that you would expect or need for olive oil because you want it to be in a darker bottle so that the oil stays beautiful and delicious. And then it had the spout. And then it was etched with the words olive oil. And it was beautiful, but it was $25. And at that time in 2008, 2009, $25 was a lot of money. And it wasn't necessarily a lot of money to you, but to me, as a single mom working a part-time teaching job, because I couldn't get a full-time teaching job, I was working like zero point 0.6. Can you believe it? 0.6. Wow. It's amazing I made it. Anyway, I was a part-time teacher. And then the next year I was zero point 0.8. And then the third year I was finally full-time. So I was working this job, working my butt off to try to heal the CPTSD and provide for my daughter and all the things. And they came through with this olive oil bottle. And I thought to myself, I want to be the person who has a beautiful, elegant olive oil bottle that's refilled from the bottle from the store so that the bottle is like elegant and upscale. So I bought it. Not only that, I bought my parents one for Christmas. It was a big deal. So, anyway, back to last Saturday. As I was making my breakfast, I reached for that olive oil bottle, and instead of grabbing the bottle, I bumped it and it tipped over onto my granite countertop. This is not the first time that has happened, but it was the last because as it fell onto the counter, it broke into about 6 pieces. And then the olive oil pooled on the countertop, ran down the cupboard doors, and ended up puddling on the floor. And it happened just like that. It was in an instant. And I was sort of stunned. And then I grabbed paper towels and began to clean it up, and then filled the sink with soapy water and cleaned it up. And as I was cleaning, I was feeling big emotions. And I kept thinking, why are my emotions so big about this bottle? And yeah, it was a special bottle and it was elegant and I've had it for all these years. But that was not why I was emotional. I was emotional because the spiritual meaning of broken glass is transformation and new chapters. And I very, very rarely have glass break in my house. And when I do, I pay attention to what I'm releasing, what I'm letting go of. And I have been doing so much deep inner work lately on my own identity as a CEO, an entrepreneur, a leader, a speaker, a coach, a healer, because the identity of music teacher was just like had its claws in me. And when this glass bottle fell and broke, it was a recognition because of the broken glass and the spiritual meaning that it was complete. And I felt it in my bones. And then I looked up the spiritual meaning of olive oil, and it's more of the same. It absolutely was an affirmation of everything that I've been working on and working toward. And the emotion is not sad because the bottle's gone. Please understand. That's not it. I mean, yeah, it's a bummer, but it's a bottle. The emotion is recognition that that identity has completely shifted and that the abused woman, the single mom, the music teacher struggling to make ends meet identity was complete. And there's so much love for her because she was clawing her way back to life for so many years. And the emotion that I felt is recognition of how hard she worked and gratitude for how much she did not give up on herself or her dreams. And so much appreciation for the life that I now lead that means I don't have to set an alarm in the morning. And that means I can go out dancing any night of the week I want to and just fill my own cup and build community with other dancers. And I can meet with my clients in the daytime and I feel so fueled. And it's like literally my dream life right now. Are there things that I'm still working on? Yeah, of course. I think that'll always be the case. But the recognition of how far I've come was so salient last Saturday. And I wanted to share this with you because I don't think we talk about what it's like to recognize an identity has shifted. There's a little bit of grief for the former identity, grief for everything that that version of you had to go through, and also like pride and recognition and being able to acknowledge what's here now. In 2007, 2008, I was reading books with titles like There's Nothing Wrong with You and Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I am so grateful that I did read those books. And then I'm so grateful that along the way, I discovered my own spiritual teachers like Gabby Bernstein and started to study energy healing and Reiki with my mentor and very, very close friend, Kathy Kearns, owner of Reiki Renewal. And all of this happened as a result of that woman in 2008 who was willing to stretch to buy a $25 olive oil bottle as a representative of what was possible for her. And so I don't think of this in terms of the 2008 version. I think in terms of the 2026 version of Brenda. What is the olive oil bottle that I'm buying now? Maybe I'm not buying it. Maybe it's my dance. Maybe it's my showing up for my clients. Maybe it's the podcast. Maybe it's the willingness to shift my office. By the way, do you like the new background? Same office, different angle. It seems to be making a big difference in my energy. And so I just am aware, I'm so aware of how much courage and vision and love and compassion it takes to shift identity. We don't shift identities from a place of not liking who we are or even not liking our situation. In fact, that is the least effective way to shift an identity. We shift identity through deep love and honor of the version of us we used to be. And I'm telling you this because I haven't always loved that version of myself. Like I have vivid, visceral memories of wanting to change so desperately that I did the May Cause Miracles book of Gabby Bernstein's, and I would do it over and over and over and over again. I would like do day 1 through 40, and then I would open it up and I'd do it again. Day 1 through 40, and I'd open it and I would do it again. And then I would discover Mike Dooley. And then, the work I was willing to put in. That version of me did not realize she was already becoming. And so, as I sat with the fact that that identity is now complete, I realized I'm doing it to myself again. The thing I'm doing is I'm forgetting that I am becoming. And I don't mean that in like an obvious way. Of course, I know I'm becoming because I'm always like trying to get better at something or learn something or whatever. But it allowed me to feel more compassion for current Brenda. Because current Brenda is also working her ass off. And, the spiritual community talks a lot about manifestation. What they don't talk about, and this is a big miss, in my opinion, is that yes, you have to manifest, get the energy right, but then you have to take the next actions that you're guided to take. It's the breadcrumbs. And if you don't take the actions that you're guided to take, it doesn't manifest. And then we say, well, it's not working. That's because the spiritual community often says it's just your energy. Just get your energy in the right place. That's the problem. Well, does energy matter? Absolutely. 100%. Your energy matters. Your emotions matter. And you cannot get anything done by sitting on your meditation pillow and not doing anything else. You have to actually be part of the physical world. You have to do the things. You have to show up and do the work. It doesn't happen without the work. And that's the piece that is missing in the messaging from spiritual communities. It's really destructive and frankly dangerous. And so As I sat with my own shifting identity, I thought to myself, how can I give myself more compassion and more grace for what I'm experiencing right now and continue to show up and do the work? And one of the things that I've been playing with doing for a while is adjusting my wake sleep times, because since I've been doing more and more and more and more weeknight dancing, I'm not getting home until sometimes 9:30, 10 o'clock on a weeknight. And I absolutely love it. But me waking up at 5:30 in the morning or 5:15 in the morning, it's not really jiving with that. And so I was sitting with, what do I really want to do? What do I want to live? How do I want my days to be? Is it important enough for me to be up at 5:30 in the morning that it would be worth it for me to leave dance early or only take one class on a weeknight and not stay for the practice? And the answer was no. I want to dance. I want to stay for, 2, 3 hours. I want to do my classes and then I want to stay for the practice because it feels good. And when I think about, does it feel good to have an alarm set to go off at 5:15 or 5:30 in the morning? No, not particularly. It did. There were many, many years that it did. Like, I've been working for myself full time. We're coming up on the fourth, the fourth full year that I've been completely self-employed. Now, we're going to talk about this in another episode. There were some things that I could have done that would have made this a little bit easier, financially, especially, but we'll talk about that another time if you're interested. And if you are interested, let me know. Like, send me a message on Instagram at Brenda Winkle or email me. Let me know if you want to hear that side of the story. But when I think about, it's been 4 years and I have gotten up at the same time in the morning between 5 and 5:30 for the last 4 years that I was teaching. And it occurred to me last week, literally last week, this is all new. This is probably why the glass bottle broke, right? It occurred to me last week, why am I doing this? Why am I forcing myself to get up at 5:30 in the morning? Why am I forcing myself to leave the dance event that I want because I have to go home and sleep because I have to get up at 5:30 in the morning? For what? For who? If I'm setting my own schedule, can't I adjust my schedule? And the answer is yes, of course. So I'm doing it. So this morning, I did not set an alarm. I stayed out dancing last night. I went to my Casino Rueda class. Then I did my 1.5 salsa and bachata. And then I stayed for a practicum. Practica. Practica. It's called practica. And then I needed to pick something up. And it was like 9:50 when I walked in the door. Well, I don't know about you, but I can't walk in the door and fall asleep. So I did my transition time, took Bentley outside, played with him for a minute, read my book. By the way, if you haven't read The Amalfi Curse, you should go give that book a read. It is so, so, so good. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. Anyway, all this is to say, we get to choose some things, and there are probably things in your life too that you're not choosing, just the same way I was not choosing to allow myself the freedom and flexibility to adjust my wake sleep time. So, invitation to think about what that might be like for you. And it doesn't matter whether you're self employed or you work for somebody else, there are choices that you actually have that you're not offering to yourself. And as I record this, we're in some really big energetic shifts, and the energy is coming through like, how much grace can you accept? How much more can you receive? How much more can you open to receive the goodness, the abundance, the love, the peace, the fulfillment, the joy? How much more can you open to receive? So that's my invitation for you this week. How can you be more curious? Invitation to be more curious. Are there ways in which you're not allowing yourself to have options? Are there ways in which you're not allowing yourself to receive the exact thing you want to receive? And if there are, maybe there's an invitation to shift. And I will be waking up later when I go dancing the night before. And if you're one of my one on one clients, you're going to see that 8 a.m. Pacific time disappear. I'm going to adjust that to later. Speaking of which, I do have 2 spots open for private clients to begin in August of 2026, just 2. And if you're curious about that, I'll put the link in the show notes that has all the information, including the link to apply. And when I say apply, it's just a little Google form. I want to make sure it's a right fit for both of us and that what you need is something I can support. So if that calls to you, go take a look at that. Also, I want to let you know, speaking of abundance and grace, the Lionsgate portal is coming up on August 8th. Now that's 8-8. Eights are numbers that are linked with abundance. And a lot of times we hear abundance as though it's wealth and prosperity, and that is absolutely abundance. But my take on abundance is that it can be an abundance of joy, an abundance of love, of companionship, of peace, of fulfillment, of health. And so I am hosting an activation event based around the Lionsgate portal with Reiki, breath work, and intuitive guidance on August 8th. It's a Saturday. So if that calls to you, join us. It's at 8 a.m. Pacific and it's $88. So hopefully I'll see you there at the Lionsgate event. And if you have any questions, if you have anything that this brought up for you, I would love to hear from you. You can DM me over on Instagram or send me an email or wherever we're connected on social media. And if we're not connected on social media, why not? Let's connect. And I'm just so grateful for you being here. If this episode was helpful for you, would you please share it with a friend or two? Somebody that you think might be maybe not giving herself the credit for the identity work she's done. Somebody that may be making things harder than she needs to, and somebody that you just care about and you want them to know how much you honor their journey. Thank you for being here. Bye for now. Until next time.